Hey guys, it's Tiny Tom Logan back with another video for you. And today we're going to be looking at the best of products for 2012. If you think that the audio is a little bit different, or different perspective, it's because I'm using a new webcam that I've used. I've tried to get the mic hooked up, but the YouTube software that used to pop up and allow me to turn the mic volume up isn't working at the moment. So I've had to stick with the just the way it comes straight out of the webcam rather than using a dedicated mic. So apologies. But anyway, products for 2012, the best of. We did this last year and it was quite popular, so we thought we'd run through it again. It's nice to go over the last year's worth of reviews and check and kind of just refresh our minds on what we enjoyed, what we liked doing, and to pick out the products that really stuck with us personally, because obviously we get to work with quite luckily a lot of products throughout the year, but sometimes there's ones that we think are that little bit extra special, and that's why we're going to give these ones an extra kind of airing and an extra set of awards. Now, if you're interested in reading reviews of any of the products, there's a link underneath the video, and that will take you to the written review on OC3D. That will also then give you the click links that you can go to all the other reviews for each one, and also where the videos are as well. So it's just one link underneath rather than hundreds of links underneath, or loads of links underneath. But anyway, what we'll do is we'll start with audio. Now, audio is something that I don't necessarily do much of, especially when it comes to headphones, and this was a review that Brian did. And he said for him, without a shadow of a doubt in his mind, the best product for him of the year was a quite recent one. It was done in November, and it's this SteelSeries Flux. Now, this headset was only kind of around the kind of £60–65 mark, but with the amount of bass that it had, the quality of the sound, it is only a a normal stereo headset as well, but it's really bassy, really loud. You can customise it. You could fold it up. It was portable. It did everything that you wanted, but also had some really good sound quality that even some of the more expensive ones couldn't really cope with. They do sit on your ears, which don't suit everyone, but for the price and the whole package, Brian said that was his headset of the year. So yeah, that won the OC3D Best of 2012 Gold Award. Now, 2012 Silver Award for audio was a product that I did, and it was the Microlab 7Cs, or Solo 7Cs. And that was the set of speakers that I did that had two large mid-bass drivers and then a tweeter at the top, or woofers and then a tweeter at the top, however you want to pronounce it. They were 110 watts RMS. They were active monitors, which meant they had an amp built inside. They were a bit big to go on a desk, to be fair. And by that I mean if you just had them by the side of your monitor or monitors, they would probably be a bit big because they were quite deep. But if you were to have them, further out in your room and your computer was in the middle of a wall or something, then it would work perfectly then. But the way I ended up using them was connected to my TV in the front room, and they're still there to this day, because I was lucky enough to get to keep them. But anyway, so yeah, that was one of the things that I got to keep and I still use. That's how much I like it. It's another reason why I've decided to give it this award, because I do still really like them. I wouldn't want to replace them. Now, a lot of people say, oh, I don't want stereo sound, with my telly, I want surround sound for films. Honestly, I don't think if you come and watch the TV at my house, you would be sat there thinking to yourself, I need more speakers, because these things are immense, and you do get completely engulfed in watching a film, or when playing games or whatever, with the few times that we've had, connected a console or whatever up, because I don't own one. Won't ever own another one as well, unless the new ones come out. But anyway, off topic. They are brilliant, and they're really well priced as well. You can get them for just over £100. Now, if you live at home with your parents, I swear to God, your parents will be constantly moaning about the noise. And if you live in a flat with thin walls, or a house with thin walls, your neighbours will be moaning as well. These things are immense. And like I said, for the money, the build quality, they weigh a ton. It's proper sturdy. There's good audio there. You couldn't really ask for much more for how much they were charging you. Now, I'm clicking around because I'm actually reading off the website, and I've recorded this a few times and YouTube keeps buggering up. So right, CPU coolers, this will be a controversial one. People are going to moan because of I do have a close relationship with Corsair, but they have made some amazing stuff this year, and this is the problem. They're not really making anything that's bad at the moment. Now, by that, as in a problem with that, it's great for them, but it's difficult for me. I would love something to moan about, because me constantly saying all this stuff's great is kind of wearing a bit thin. But anyway, I think personally the cooler of the year was the H100i. It came in to replace the H100. It brought the new fans with it, the Link software, and it was amazing. Essentially, the fans, we thought they were going to sit between the SP120 Quiet Editions and Performance Editions, but they actually went beyond it. But the thing with those fans that come with it standard is the range of RPM. It's a huge range, that they can go down to like 700 RPM right the way up to 2700 RPM, which means you can have fans that will literally keep the hottest of rigs cool. Yes, they will make noise, but you know, I mean, even 12 volt Noctuas will make noise. But the point is if you use the Link software and calm those fans down, they will go silent as well. Now, I'm a silent freak, and even I was impressed at the huge difference with those fans, that they could literally, you know, keep anything cool, but then flick a switch and that was it, and it was like, is it on? So it did everything that we'd possibly want. The Link software was amazing as well, because I didn't like the push button on the H100. What's the point having to take your rig off and turn your fan up? That's just daft. Or your door off, sorry. With the Link software, you could literally just go into the software, go click, quiet, bosh, done, and it could have been in HTPC mode. And you could go from the extreme of being silent mode to benchmark mode within 5 seconds. It's brilliant. So right, moving on. Performance award for cooling for the 2012. I've personally given to the XSPC D5 RX360 kit. Now, reason why I gave it that, it was a lot of money to, you know, out the box. It was 280 quid. But you get an RX360 radiator, which is 360mm, so 3 220mm fans. You get the fans with it. You get fan grills. You get the Raystorm CPU block. You get a bay reservoir, but also you get a D5 pump at the back, and it's the Vario model as well, so you can turn it up and down. Now, the thing with that kit is, if you just bought it for a CPU loop, it would be expensive, that's fair enough. But the reason for that would be, it's massive overkill. That pump is strong as buggery. I've got that same pump in Orca for all of my rads and my whole loop, and I've turned it down to half, and it's silent. It's brilliant, and I still get wicked temps. But the thing with that kit is all you really needed to do was buy yourself a GPU water block. So if you've got a 7970 or a 680, fine, doesn't matter. Get your water block, hook it all up, bosh done, you will get amazing temps. And I mean properly good temps as well. I tested this with a 680 and the temps I was getting were amazing. So it's something to kind of take the worry out of choosing your bits, because once you get your first rig out of the way, you then do want to start, you know, customising stuff. This is real easy. You could buy that kit, buy yourself an XSPC water blocks, and then all of your kit kind of matches. You've got all the same kind of brand. That's the way I like to work anyway. I like to try and keep a bit of uniformity in there. And you could put it in, and you know you would get epic temps. The only way you would get a problem with this is if you hadn't fitted something properly. And generally it's quite an easy fix, and it's really nothing to worry about. But yeah, properly good kit. So yes, it's a lot of money, which is why we give it the performance award. But the thing is you don't shortcut when it comes to water cooling. You either do it properly or don't bother, stay on air. This is how you can do it properly, but also make it that little bit easier for a beginner as well. Now, I'm going to move on to cases, and I'm also going to check that YouTube is still recording. We're doing well, so I can see myself. Right, so cases. Now, the case of the year is a pretty big claim, and I do mean a pretty big claim because I am stupidly picky with cases. But when you understand my my background in life, of my jobs and stuff, you'll understand why I can kind of understand a lot more about what's going on than just what's in front of me. Now, quite surprisingly for some people, I am going to give it to the NZXT Switch 810. 100% gold award. This case was a huge step forward for NZXT, and I mean a huge step forward. there's only one real drawback to it, to be fair. It's that good that if you're a modder, there's not really a lot that you can do with the case. And by that I mean they've kind of got everything there for you already. There's 3 different places that you can fit radiators, because I don't count 120mm radiators nailed onto the back of such a big case, you know, even worth bothering with. I've always ignored those. I think if you've got a case this big and you have to run a 120mm radiator, you've done something wrong. So you can get a 360 in the roof, and there's 2 spots in the bottom that you can put 240s or 280s. One thing that they have done is they've with the 140mm fan mounts, they've now made it 15mm mounts, but you can get a different roof. They'll send it out to you free, but that's kind of like by the by. That case was brilliant. For the money that it came out with everything that it delivered in that box, and with the options that you had with hardware and cooling and everything like that, it was brilliant. Without a second doubt in my mind, that is my case of the year. But moving on, Performance Award, so OC3D Best of 2012 Performance Award for cases, I would give to the Case Labs Merlin. And I really wouldn't think twice about that either. Case Labs have been renowned for having massive cases that would gobble everything. That's not necessarily a bad thing. But with the SM8, what they've done is they shrunk it down a little bit. It was a fatter case without being a cube. The thing with the case is even though it was a smaller format to the styles that we would have been used to usually, we still, when we built our test rig, we still had a 360 radiator in the front and a 480mm radiator in the roof, both in push-pull, and the motherboard in there still looked dwarfed. But the case wasn't that big. It was probably the size of like a Phantom or something, maybe even a little bit shorter height-wise, but it was amazing. It really, yeah, Case Labs basically put all of what they'd learnt with the huge cases, shrunk it down, made sure that it was still modular, made sure we could still throw loads of water cooling at it, but like I said, just managed to get that kind of same sleek looking design in a smaller package. It was brilliant. Now, there's quite a few case awards. I would say, personally, my OC3D Best of 2012 Innovation Award for cases would go to the BitPhoenix Prodigy. My reasoning behind that was BitPhoenix essentially took a format, which is the MRTX format, that not really a lot of people really deal with. But what they did is, with MRTX, you always end up with a really tiny case that you always end up with limitations with. They made the case slightly bigger, fair enough, but the amount of options that you had with it are unreal, and the layout was really good as well. You could have a decent size, 80x size power supply in there. You had a 200mm fan in the front. You had options for water cooling in the roof and in the front. Umpteen solid state drive ports. It was, it was brilliant. But for 60 quid. And NZXT, I do apologise. BitPhoenix really did take the ITX market and show every other manufacturer how it should be done. I would say that is the first proper MRTX enthusiast case to be released to date. I don't think any of the other ones really count properly. If it wasn't a HTPC case before, it was a bit meh. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't really to be fussed with, and I mean that for all of the other ones. This was the first proper enthusiast MRTX case. And because of this case, all the other manufacturers are now chasing their tails trying to get their boards out. I still think personally that Asus needs to do a better job with their MITX board, because it is really good, but they're just not pushing it, and that's a problem with the PR in the UK. I do keep clicking across to make sure YouTube's not area we're in, but I think we're all right now. Now, Best of 2012 Value for Money Award, quick one. I would give to the Zalman Z11 Plus, coming at 50 quid. It was quite a gamery looking case, loads of kind of like angular lines, a bit like a stealth bomber. It had a window, fan controller, had loads of little bits and bobs. It was what I would call a gamer style case, whereas it's quite an aggressive design. It's not very kind of like sleek or anything. But for 50 quid, you couldn't really argue with it. It ticked all the boxes, and it even there's some cases that cost like 65, 70 quid weren't as good as that case. So it, you know, thoroughly deserving of the value for money award. Now I'm just going to have a swig of water because I've been doing a lot of talking already. Motherboards. Now, best of 2012 Gold Award. MSI Z77 M-Power. It came to the table quite late in the year, and to be fair, it was so close between this and the Performance Award winner, it was unreal. So the Gold Award winner is the MSI Z77 M-Power. The Performance Award winner is the Z77X UP7 from Gigabyte. Difference between the two: price. The MSI got the gold because it was 150 quid. It overclocked like Billy O. They have fixed all the BIOS problems with it now, and it does work faultlessly. It really does tick all the boxes. This is like, I would say, this is like the P5K Premium, the old 775 P5K Premium. This is like the newer version of that. We always used to prefer the Asus Sabertooth, but this, yeah, for the money, this is an absolute no-brainer. The yellow kind of detailing is kind of spurred on a lot of Bumblebee mods, which I'm not too keen on because everyone's doing the same thing. But you know, beyond that, it's thoroughly. It's, yes, for the money. There's so many people coming to me and saying, "What Z77 board should I buy?" I've got about 180, 200 quid to spend, and I still say the Z77 M-Power. It's epic. Now, the Performance Award went to the UP7, the Gigabyte UP7 Z77 board. Now, if you have got more money to spend, that is quite literally the best Z77 board we've had. It's had the most extreme overclocks that we've had out of any of our CPUs, and that's quite a tall order, because generally when you get to the, especially when we've been testing for so long, generally the CPU overclocks tend to tail off a bit as the CPU starts to degrade because of the amount of abuse we give them. Generally, when we're working with them, they're either overclocked and screaming their tits off, or they're being benchmarked. So they have a hard life. So for a board to come in this late in the day and deliver the sort of overclocks that we got, we saw 5 GHz for the first time on our retail CPU. I mean, that was a tall order on our engineering one, let alone the bloody retail one with the shit thermal paste on it. So the board was an absolute stormer. You do pay a lot of money for it. It's over a £300 board, but it's, if you've got that sort of money to spend on a Z77 board and you want some, you know, ridiculously high overclocks, but then still have the security and peace of mind that it will be safe at those overclocks and the board's not going to die, that would be the board of choice. The sheer amount of power phases on it alone are just ridiculous. Also, the orange colour on it, again, it's going to be a bit Marmite. You're either going to love it or you hate it, but done properly, you can make that board look epic in a rig. Keep clicking to check YouTube's not failed. Now, 2011 was very quiet in 2012. There was a few boards that came out. There was none really that kind of properly stood out. So moving away from the kind of i7 side of things, where it was a bit of fluff. Moving away from the i7 side of things, we took a look at the Asus, and it was the Z9 PE-D8 workstation board. We chucked a couple of Xeons in there. They were the 3.1 Xeons, and that thing was an absolute number crunching monster. If any of you use Cinebench, I was getting scores of 20, well over 20, nearly 21 on that with the CPUs, and you can't overclock the CPUs where they're Xeons. So they were alright, there were two stock CPUs, and it was mind blowing. It helped that they were 8-core 16-thread CPUs, so 16 cores in total, 32 threads, which is why Cinebench went batshit with it. But yeah, it was epic. And the thing was, it's the reason why I chose that, because a lot of you are going to go, no, EVGA SRX. No, the EVGA SRX was complete and utter fail. It looked all, the SRX looked all wrong. It was overpriced, it was badly designed, it was horrific. The Asus was well laid out, it looked good, the colours were good, you actually had some memory options on there so you could overclock the memory if you wanted, whereas the EVGA you couldn't. And, most important thing was the Asus come in at £150 cheaper than the EVGA. So that, without a second doubt in my mind, would win another Best of 2012 Performance Award, but we'll kind of call that the 2012 award for the Socket 2011. Yeah, that's a mouthful and a half, isn't it? So, clicking on to the next page of the review. Memory. Now, memory, because of Ivy Bridge, memory speeds have rocketed. Most 3770Ks can do a 2666 memory. Yes, you do have to go in and sometimes play with some of the other voltages on your board, but you can go in there and get it done. I personally don't like XMP. That's like a noob button for me. That's almost like if I can't get it running, I look at that, see what it is, and then go in and tweak the rest of the other volts. But anyway, so you can get 2666, bit of a no-brainer. 3570K is normally kind of an average one, will hit a wall around the 2400 mark. You might get a little bit more, but generally 2400 is a good place to stop. It's also a good place really for a balancing point with the memory speed as well, depending on speed and, you know, balancing out speed and the cost. But anyway, so memory. Now, I personally would give the Best of 2012 Gold Award, Memory Award, to the Corsair Dominator Platinum. And I'll be honest with you, when it does come to the speeds, whether you buy 1600, 1866, 2133, 2100 or 2666, don't matter what other one you get, if you take one of those memory kits and then test another one from, for argument's sake, G-Skill or Kingston, they will more than likely perform pretty much exactly the same. Now, I've seen reviews where people have gone, oh, it's the most amazing memory kit in the world, it's so fast, it's amazing. No, it's the same as everything else. There's really nothing between memory at this present moment in time. The reason why the Corsair gets the Best of Award, 100%, is the looks. That is the best looking memory kit I've ever seen. People have tried putting LEDs on RAM in the past and ended up looking like a dodgy flipping school youth club disco with lights flashing all over the place. It looked like the type of thing that you had like a UFO in your rig or something like that. It looked horrific. This, they took the Dominator kind of style and then they added a real sleek kind of underlighting light bar to it. Real subtle. White lights, never going to be a bad thing with me, but it was the fact that they were so subtle, but they still, I mean, I've got them in that rig, I've got them in Orca, I love the look of them. And it was LEDs done properly, but kind of, I don't want to say, it was just sleek, it was real nice and elegant. They didn't go overboard with it. It would have been so easy to have, you know, had RAM with like practically spotlights on the side of it. But they kept it kind of sedate and understated. Absolutely hit the design nail on the button. Whoever designed those at Corsair needs to be given a new company car because they're brilliant. Now, Performance Award we gave to the Kingston Predator. They do have a massive heatsink. They did perform real well, but it was the fact that with those kits they had some screaming high kits available, so we gave those the Performance Award. And our Silver Award, what we did is we gave it to a G-Skill Trident 32GB kit, and it was the 2400 MHz ones. It was more the fact that it was a 2400 MHz 32GB kit that we gave those to. 8GB sticks are, you know, is a big ask anyway, but to have something that was so good with timings and then the speed as well, it was for the, you know, the dim size was brilliant. Problem was is because of the size of the sticks and the speed and everything else, they did come in quite expensive, but that was an epic, you know, kit if you were looking for something different than some of the obvious other brands. To be fair, G-Skill do make some really good stuff, and if you are looking to kind of like veer away from the obvious choices, they're normally a good place to start. I'm personally not a fan of some of their heatsink choices. I do think they could get a little bit more sleek, maybe a little bit more understated with some of them, but it really depends what you're looking for. It's just a personal opinion from me, really. Now, right, we're 25 minutes in, I best get my arse in gear. GPUs. Now, best of 2012 gold award, without a second thought in my mind, goes to the Club 3D 7950 Royal King. 7950 graphics card, put it in, test it stock, meh, 7950. When you overclock that thing, oh my giddy aunt, it went like shit off a shovel. We were knocking out 7970 and 680 overclock scores from a 7950. It was batshit. Now the thing, essentially what I've always said with graphics cards is especially with the 7000 series, the reference PCB is good enough to get the best out of any of the chips. You're always going to end up winning the silicon lottery. If you win the silicon lottery, you will get the most out of it with, if you're air cooling, you'll get the most out of it with a reference PCB. You don't need to, you know, buy the Asus Matrix Platinum Super Duper this, because if you get a crap GPU on it, the actual core itself, all those other things on the board aren't going to make it any quicker. Because like I said, the reference style board is more than enough for those chips. Now yes, with the Club 3D properly won the silicon lottery, it wasn't cherry picked as a lot of people thought. It actually came to me from a retailer. Club 3D bought it from a retailer and then sent it to me, so there was no chance for them to have cherry picked it. But it was one of the ones that just goes to show that you don't need to spend a stupid amount of money to get an amazing graphics card. They are, you can, you know, if you make your choices wisely, they are wicked. I would say that some of the Club 3D stuff that are coming through, they're starting to get more presence in the UK now. They are a brand to watch. There's a lot of their stuff that I've, you know, looked at, might be looking at, all looks very, very promising. But that for me was my graphics card of last year. Performance award for 2012 I would give to the Power Color 7990, mainly because it was the first proper 7990 to come to the table. AMD kind of skipped it, didn't want to, you know, release one, so the vendors took it upon themselves to stick a couple of 7970s on it. Now Power Color is owned by TUL, so that's why there's a couple of very similar looking versions of the 7990. About Club 3D have got one. And that's because they're all owned by the same person. They're all the same card. But the Power Color Devil 13 was an amazing card, and one of the reasons why we did give it the performance award was because testing wise it literally was performing as good as 7970 Crossfire. Generally when you put two cards, you know, two cores on a card like that, there's normally kind of a performance trade-off, keep heat down and stuff like that, or the two cores on one board don't talk to each other properly, and you normally get a slower performance. That was on the money with two individual card Crossfire. It was brilliant. Now, Value for Money Award for graphics cards. We were going to give it our Gamer's Choice Award, but we forgot that we haven't actually got a Gamer's Choice like badge award logo anymore, so we've had to give it the Value for Money. That was another Club 3D one. Now this was the 7850 Royal Queen. That's our Best of 2012 Value for Money Award winner. Mainly because it wasn't a lot of money at all. But it overclocked again like no one's business. You could get in there, overclock it, and it became a little stormer. I'm trying to remember how much it was. I'm going to click the link quickly now. Yeah, the price link's not come up. But it was, and it really did overclock well. It's worth going, if you're looking for a graphics card under 200 quid, it's worth going to have a look at that review now. You know, click the link underneath, go and have a look, because that was a brilliant kind of like mid-range kind of graphics card. We were both thoroughly impressed with that. Now checking that we're still recording. Yeah, we are. Oh yeah. Right, storage. So storage, solid state drives, because we don't really do mechanical drives. We gave it to another Corsair product, and we gave it to the GTX Neutron 240GB drive that we did. It basically is enterprise level kind of performance and parts and everything. It's an enterprise drive basically that they've kind of tweaked a few bits on to make it perfect for a hardcore enthusiast. When you really look at the numbers that drive pumps out, there's not really anything that you can argue with it. there's many of you now in the back of your head that are shouting out different brands at the screen, and do you know what I mean? You're fair enough, but these are the ones that we've reviewed, and that would be the ones that would be the one that we would choose. There's one brand in specific I actually will not touch because they're such a bad business. I won't do them. But anyway, slightly off topic. The Silver Award. OC3D Best of 2012 Silver Award winner for storage we gave to the Samsung 840 240GB. Again, the 840 is an enterprise spec drive. But the thing with Samsung is everything is made by them, and by that we mean all the the memory inside it, the NAND, the firmware, the whole lot, all manufactured and done by Samsung. It does work really, really well as well. They're quite competitively priced. There's not a massive amount between the Corsair and the Samsung, but we had a fairly lengthy discussion about this, and we personally thought that the Corsair only bloody just tipped it, but it did tip it, which is why we gave it the silver. But still, if you would, if you wanted to know my two drives of the year, they would be the two without a second doubt in my mind. So yeah, that is well worth thinking about, because solid state drives, they make such a huge impact on the performance of your rig. It doesn't matter if you spend £2,000-3,000 on your rig. If you put a mechanical hard drive in it and run your operating system off of it now, you're just severely limiting the readiness and the performance of your rig. Solid state drives, 100% have to go in every proper enthusiast rig now. If you've not got one, get one. You'll be amazed. It'll be like you've got a brand new PC sat by the side of you. It will be the biggest performance. If you're on a mechanical drive now, a solid state drive is the biggest performance increase you're ever likely to experience for the next few years. The difference is just daft. Start-up time, boot times, program loading times, just all kinds of stuff. I can press shutdown on Orca. Alright, I've got 2 in RAID, but I can press shutdown on Orca and literally click shutdown, go 1, 2, and by 3 it's off. It's ridiculous. Anyway, check we're still recording, yeah. Right. We're getting near the end now. So, right, mice. This is a very, very Brian orientated area. Brian always, well, near enough always does mice, keyboards, headsets, because he games a lot more than I do, essentially. I can understand the basics with them and tell him, good bits, bad bits, build quality, that kind of thing, and compare between it. But Brian, when he does a review on a mouse or a keyboard or something, he's literally got that thing in his hand for 18 hours of a day, or typing on it for 18 hours of a day, and we'll do that over a 2-3 week period. But anyway, his gold award for 2012 was the Razer Taipan, and I'll read you what he said. It's been a while since Razer really wowed us with a mouse, but the Taipan was stunning, an incredible sensor, comfortable, and some excellent software. Only the green or green colour choice counts against it, and in that we and even with that we overlook when the rest of the package is so brilliant. And like I said, that was something that Brian wrote himself, so that's brilliant. And quite strangely, we decided to give another gold award, and that was the Roccat Cone XTD. The Roccat cones, there's been a whole range of them over the last couple of 3 years, and this is kind of like the latest incarnation of it. It was an amazing mouse. I know Brian's got a proper love for Roccat kit, mainly because it always works, always delivers. You get what you pay for, and the features are normally epic. The Cone XTD was no different. Now, moving on, keyboards. OC3D Best of 2012 Gold Award went to the CM Storm Quickfire TK. Now, again, the words on that page are from Brian, but he put kind of 2013 was the year for mechanical keyboards. Pretty much everything has got cherry switches one way or another, depending on what colour. And this one was great. It was well built, had a real sturdy feel to it, black and red theme, which will fit in with a lot of people's rigs and what they personally like. And it came in at a wicked price as well, so that's why it got our gold award. Now, the performance award was a very recent one. It was the Black Widow Ultimate 2013. It did cost a lot of money, but they made some really nice switches to it, and are quite rare for, you know, kind of a mainstream purchase keyboard to have cherry blue switches. The only kind of drawback with that one was the price, which is why it got the performance award. But other than that, those two keyboards were epic. Now, that's the end, because I've literally just gone through reading that. As you can probably understand, there was no way I was going to remember all of those details, because we've been recording now for 35 minutes. But yes, guys, that is the end of the OC3D Best of 2012 Awards. Don't forget to click the link underneath, because that's where you can go and read all the bits, get the click links to all the other reviews and stuff, so that you can go and get a full in-depth rather than just a quick overview. 2012 was an amazing one for me personally, and for the Time to Live, what is now a brand as a whole, because obviously last year I started Time to Live Media and then bought overclock3d.net. So that's kind of the start of, you know, my media company now. YouTube, we've just started a new YouTube channel as well called Rush Kit. That's going to be for quick box openings, quick snappy videos. It's going to be a work in progress, but it's just something, it's just a kind of little side project for me. There are some new things coming as well. The reason why I started Time to Live Media was because it's kind of like an umbrella for all the other things that are going to be coming underneath. We've got a lot of work to do on Overclock3D, because I've not been happy with that for a long while, but now I've got the freedom and I've not got anybody else to please. We're going to be making some changes there. Just going to be kind of normal, kind of like running changes throughout this year, but you can expect some big things for 2014. There's some, we're already chatting about what we're going to do, but that will be massive, considering that I'm giving myself 6 to 8 months. Kind of lets you know that there's massive stuff coming. But yeah, we will still be doing all the long normal reviews as we normally do. Rush Kit, we're going to smash out some quick short videos so that we don't litter the TTL channel with quick stuff, so we've got 2 good places for it to go. We've got some amazing kit coming throughout the year as well. I've got a lot of stuff already kind of like pre-confirmed already. There's one massive thing that I'm waiting to arrive any day. So you'll be able to see a video going up on Rush Kit very shortly of a massive product for 2013. But yeah, I'm going to get off now. My voice is properly dried out. I need to have some more water. But this is Tiny Tom Logan with another video for you, out. Ding! I need to click the mouse at the same time.